Deep inside the forest, a desperate search party is looking for two missing people. What they do not know is that hidden underground is a dark cave with a single bell dangling from the ceiling. The wind chimes ring eerily as if beckoning someone to enter. Suddenly, two search dogs wander inside. On the ground, they find a small hole filled with murky water. The dogs lap it up eagerly. But moments later, their owner notices something chilling. His dogs aren't looking at him. Instead, they're staring at each other with a cold, unblinking gaze that feels almost human. Terrified, the man pulls his dogs back, unsure of what to do next. That night, the dogs are locked in their cage, but their eyes remain fixed on each other. Hours pass and the man is jolted awake by strange noises. Rushes to the cage, his blood runs cold. Inside, the dogs have fused into one grotesque body, their eyes still locked in a terrifying stare. Their teeth interlocked in a silent snarl. The man faints at the sight. Meanwhile, in the bustling city, teacher Millie is getting ready for her big night. Her boyfriend, Tim, a failed musician, is throwing a farewell party before moving away. Their friends and family gather, all excited for the night ahead. Tim's old bandmates arrive and drop a bombshell. They want him to rejoin them on tour. Tempted by his old dream, Tim agrees despite the challenges. Later, during the party, Millie's best friend pulls her aside, expressing her doubts. She asks if Millie is sure about the move, pointing out how distant and depressed Tim has been ever since his music career crumbled. But Millie reassures her friend, believing a fresh start will heal their relationship. When it's time for their farewell speech, Millie shocks everyone. She suddenly drops to her knees and proposes to Tim without a ring. The room falls silent. Tim freezes, unsure how to respond. Finally, after a tense pause, he manages to say yes. But later that night, as they lie in bed, the truth surfaces. Tim admits he froze from pure shock when she proposed. But Millie isn't convinced. She confronts him about his distance, even confessing that this is the first time she has ever felt unsure about their love. Tim swears he loves her, but when she reaches out for intimacy, he refuses her touch. They drift to sleep with a growing coldness between them. Millie mutters that everyone knows Tim needs her more than she needs him. With a bitter laugh, she adds that resenting her won't erase his failures. Tim rolls over and glares at her back. But as he looks, he sees something terrifying. At the edge of the bed stands a crying woman beside a dead man. Their figures are dwarfed by the towering Tim, shrinking into the shadows. Panicked, Tim hides beneath the covers. But then the woman's face creeps toward him. Just then, he jolts awake. It was just a nightmare. The next day, they move into their new home. Tim asks Millie if he gives off the vibe that he resents her. Puzzled, she says she has no idea what he's talking about. As they unpack, Tim finds a box of his late father's old power tools. But then an unbearable stench fills the room. He follows it upstairs and traces it to a lamp. He pulls it apart and reaches inside. His hand grips something soft and rotten. To his horror, he drags out several dead rats, their tails twisted together in a grotesque knot. Startled, he drops the rest, killing the last survivor instantly. Shaken, he tosses the bodies deep into the forest. But what will he do when his nightmares start to come true? Tim's brother begs Millie to drive him to a gig. She can only take him as far as the train station. And once again, when she reaches for intimacy, he pushes her away. The following day, the couple sets out on a hike. But the road ends abruptly, just as Tim promised. And soon they find themselves lost in the thick forest. Tim notices a narrow path lined with strange bells hanging above it. Assuming they must mark the way out, he leads Millie down the path. But the forest grows darker and rain pours down. Soon, Millie and Tim realize they have no idea where they are. When Tim pulls out his phone, he admits to Millie he has no clue which direction to follow. Suddenly, Tim slips and nearly plunges into a hole. Millie grabs his hand, but she struggles to hold his weight. Both tumble down into the darkness of an underground cave. Tim's phone falls from his hand and shatters on the rocks below. Millie's phone has no signal, and the place feels suffocatingly crowded. When Tim sparks his lighter, he and Millie see scattered, rotting furniture all around. Their water is nearly gone. Millie takes the last few sips. Tim, ignoring the stagnant pool on the cave floor, drinks deeply from the pool. They burn old furniture for warmth and pass around a bottle of alcohol, Tim brought to calm their nerves. They light a cigarette, both admit they've started smoking again. In the flickering firelight, Millie asks how Tim smelled the rats before finding them. Tim begins his story. When he was young, his father would complain endlessly of a foul stench in Tim's room. No matter how they cleaned, the smell never left. Until one day, Tim came home to find his father holding a roasted rat that had been trapped inside the lamp above his bed. Each time the light was switched on, the rat's flesh slowly cooked. The stench changed so gradually Tim never noticed. One day, Tim came home from school to find his father lying dead on the floor next to his mother, who sat on the bed smiling eerily. His mother's mind had snapped. Just like Tim with the rat, she had grown immune to the smell of death. Tim looks at Millie, his face streaked with dirt and tears. He finishes his story, sobbing uncontrollably. That night, Tim wakes to eerie noises echoing through the cave. His chest tightens. Panic consumes him as he hears something massive moving in the darkness. Gasping for air, he realizes the cave itself is breathing. The walls pulse in rhythm with his own lungs. The stone closes in on him. Phantom hands claw at his face. Tim wakes again in terror, another nightmare. By morning, things are worse. Millie's phone is ruined by water, and as they try to stand, a horrifying discovery stops them cold. Their legs are stuck together by a strange, sticky substance. Ripping themselves apart brings searing pain, leaving their skin raw and bleeding. Somehow, with the faint morning light guiding them, they claw their way out of the cave. But their legs bear brutal wounds that will never let them forget the nightmare below.